Hey everybody, Shane Cass here with Keller Williams and Stanton Residential. Coming to you today to talk a little bit about the seasonality of buying in the Central Oregon area. Today we're specifically going to look at the Bend market, but this pretty much applies to the whole area. Buyers always ask me when's the best time to buy. They have this idea, because everybody talks about it, that the spring and the summer are the only times that you should ever buy a property and that you shouldn't buy in the off months. So I want to talk a little bit about that, the pros and cons to buying in the different seasons, and really answer that question ultimately, is there a bad time? So I believe there really is kind of a secret window for buyers, and what you might want to do is escape that spring rush. But there are pros and cons either way. So in the spring, we're looking at 2026 numbers in Bend. You can see that this is closed sales by month. They pick up in March and April, ultimately peak in May and June. Those May and June numbers are sort of lagging indicators of the activity in March and April, when things really start to increase. In March and April, you see people planning in January or December, January, and February to get to those numbers as well. And you'll see those numbers drop in November, December, January, and February. Now, they aren't dropping by a lot. You can see in the winter months, November through February, still a pretty healthy market of sales, but they really do peak in June. So if you think about the spring and summer months having more activity, that's also, there's more volume and there's more competition, because a lot of people do want to wait till those months to purchase a property. So you have a lot more buyers out there at the same time as you. Therefore, you might have more competition. In the off season, you're kind of clearing out those casual lookers. The people that are looking in those winter months, they're serious. They need to move, right? And you have a lot less competition. There's also less volume. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of that. But overall, like, I have a seller video as well that you'll see on my YouTube page if you want to watch that. But active listing volume remains pretty consistent across the entire 12 months. So there's really not a bad time. The time to breathe premium. So in the spring, you see things speed up. In the winter, things slow down. So you can think about it as kind of like, a sprint to the finish line in the spring and summer months, or kind of having a lot more room to breathe and take things a little bit slower. So if you're like, a first time buyer and you kind of need that space emotionally and mentally to prepare for the, buying your first place, you might find that the winter months are your favored months, right? So in November, December, January, and February, you're going to see the median days on market increase by a lot. So 65 to 75 days on the market in those winter months. In the spring, you only have about 11 to 15 days to decide. So median days on market is basically how long it takes a listing to sell. So you're going to have a lot. This chart really shows that competition, the idea of competition in the spring and the summer months. Now, it's not a market where we're seeing a ton of multiple offers, but it is a market where well-priced homes are still selling pretty quickly in those spring months, but not as much in the winter months. So if you're a buyer, you could take advantage of that time and buy, in the winter months, when there's still a lot to choose from, maybe just not as much as there is in the spring and summer. So if you find something you like in the winter months, by all means, go for it. Less inventory means less activity in those winter months. So yeah, room to breathe. My last slide, we're just going to talk about median sales price and what we see here. Now, I will say that median sales price isn't really a seasonal thing. It's more about which homes have sold. We live in Bend. It's a community of just over 100,000. There's not as many houses that sell here as in a big city like Seattle, LA, or something like that, obviously, because we're a smaller place. So in any given month, you might have like a couple of really high sales that really impact this number, and I think it's less of a seasonality thing. But in the winter months, less about median price, but more about the inventory, you're going to have a little bit more room to negotiate repairs and closing costs, and maybe lower prices, just because it is taking longer. If it's taking longer for a seller to sell their house, they're going to get a little bit more anxious, a little bit more open to negotiating on all of these things. I don't see a lot of difference in the list to sales price ratio in the winter months versus the summer months. It's not like you're getting an incredible deal in the winter months. It's more just about the amount of time that it takes and what kind of concessions you might be able to get from a seller. And it may be easier to secure things like rate buy downs and stuff like that. So ultimately, the whole point of this, is it a good time to buy? It's a good time to buy when you're ready to buy. So if you're ready in November and you really need to find a place, you can find places in Bend, and you might have a little bit more of a relaxed process in doing that. If the right time for you is in June, you'll have more to choose from, but you'll just need to act a little bit faster. So either way, I'm here to help. Any questions you have, if you want to see similar numbers for a different part of Central Oregon, I'm happy to help. Check out my other videos, like and subscribe if you have time. That really helps. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.